Hey everybody, how are you doing? This is Kirsten here, and I really appreciate you taking some time out of your day to come here and watch this video if you are watching this on YouTube or listening to it on Apple Podcast or Spotify. Today we're talking about one big emotion that is a big contributor to our anxiety, depression, and chronic sensations in the body that don't have a physical cause. Let's say that you have been checked several times and nothing has been found is wrong or bad or should be corrected medically, and the problem is still there. Like, what is going on? I don't know what's up. Why is my back still hurting? Why is my knee still in pain? Why am I still in chronic fatigue? Lots of people have these questions and they're not getting answers. And as I talked about 2 episodes ago, where I talked about emotions, I am still very convinced that I know from my personal experience that learning to understand your emotions is a big, big thing that you have to do if you want to get better, if you want to recover from these mind body symptoms, this neuroplastic pain, TMS, or whatever you want to call it. And if you're also just like really highly sensitive, if you feel like you have to justify yourself a lot, if you get offended very easily, if you are perfectionist, if you always feel bad about making wrong choices or not good enough choices, if you can't stand up for yourself, if you always want to just go hiding, there's a really good chance that you are dealing with lots of shame, but you may not be aware of it. It is such a powerful emotion, and it is so important to start catching it if you want to start feeling better. And like I said, from my personal experience, it was very important that I started doing this. And I was definitely at first, I was like missing a lot of cases, I'm sure, where the shame was sneaking in and trying to tell me its opinions, and I believed them because that was the pattern. But the more you do this work, the more you learn to reject these things, reject what it's trying to tell you, and you start becoming more and more empowered. And of course, weightlifting, one thing that I'm a big fan of and practice regularly myself too, is one of the really great ways to start rejecting shame too. Because what is shame telling you? Oh, you can't do this. You're weak. It's not going to work out. And you are strong. You can do things. It is going to work out. If you stand up against that shame talk in you, then you will feel more empowered. You get better and better. You're also going to show your brain and nervous system that you're actually absolutely healthy and you're not giving this shame any more attention. So shame is something that you just want to not listen to because its opinions are not nice. It doesn't want good things for you, and this is why you have to work with it. So today I'm going to read you a little bit from this book. It's called The Language of Letting Go by Melody Beattie, I think it's spelled. So it's Beattie. So this book, it's a great book. It has like one short writing per each calendar day of the year. And I've been reading this, and if you watch this on YouTube, you see I have a lot of notes here. I love this. A lot of things really speak to me, and I want to share what she is saying about shame. And I also want to add some of my own thoughts and comments to what she's saying. So she's first pointing out that guilt and shame are not the same thing. So it is very true. She says, authentic, legitimate guilt is the feeling or thought that what we did is not okay. It indicates that our behavior needs to be corrected or altered, or an amend needs to be made. Okay, so this is guilt for something that you did, for some sort of action. But now shame is an overwhelming negative sense that who we are isn't okay. Okay, so this is a different thing. Guilt is something that we did, and sometimes we have to feel guilty. We've done something bad or wrong. Yes, there's a place for guilt, but shame is more like who you are as a person. It's bad, right? She says, shame is a no-win situation. We can change our behaviors, but we can't change who we are. Shame can propel us deeper into self-defeating and sometimes self-destructive behaviors. Yes, I mean, this is definitely a good example of, like, let's say somebody gets into some sort of like addiction, alcohol or drugs or food or whatever the thing is. It can just be like a numbing thing. Like, I don't know, like who I am. I don't have to like face myself if I get into this like addictive behavior. So this is probably what she means by, these destructive, self-destructive behaviors. So she also says, what are the things that can cause us to feel shame? We may feel ashamed when we have a problem or someone we love has a problem. We may feel ashamed for making mistakes or for succeeding. Okay, definitely want to add some things here. We may feel ashamed for making mistakes or for succeeding. Making mistakes, if you feel ashamed for that, you are dealing with perfectionism, right? You are terrified of doing something wrong. Let's say that you need to, I think I used this example a couple of episodes again too, you need to write somebody an email and you read this and it's like 3 hours already. You're still reading this and correcting this because you're so scared that you're going to make a mistake, right? Or you are, let's say you want to post you're like a video of yourself doing a workout, but you are so worried that maybe your squat is not perfect and you can't show it because this is a mistake and it shouldn't be this way. This is your shame talking in you, right? The other thing she says, we can also feel ashamed for succeeding. Now, I've seen this with my clients. For example, sometimes they get really great results. They have maybe had great strength gains, or they have lost weight, or they have recovered from their chronic symptoms. And then they start feel bad because not everybody else has had the same success. And they're like, oh my God, this is bad. I shouldn't be proud of myself. They're shrinking themselves. They're making themselves smaller. And this is really what shame is. It doesn't want you to kind of be empowered, happy, proud of yourself. It tries to tell you that if you make a mistake, you are bad, wrong, unworthy. If you celebrate your success, you are also bad, wrong, and unworthy because you're making other people feel bad. But this is something you have to reject. You have to say, no, I'm not going to listen to this. I have every right to be proud of myself. I have made so much progress. I'm doing great. I have just like kicked ass at this thing. I feel awesome. It's good, right? And this is how you build up your empowerment instead of letting this inner critic who is just using shame to tell you all kinds of bullshit about you. And if you let it tell you all this bad stuff, your symptoms will likely get worse. So you have to start listening yourself, your inner talk, and you're also what you say out loud, and see if there's any shame in there. And then you have to turn this thing around with an opposite statement. So if your shame is trying to tell you that if you made a mistake, you're a piece of crap, you're automatically going to say, everybody's making mistakes. Mistakes are human. That's okay. Moving on, right? If the shame is trying to tell you, no, you can't talk about your success because not everybody's there yet, they're going to feel bad. You can say this, hey, I've earned this success. I deserve every bit of it. And who knows, I might be inspiring somebody right now with this, right? So this is how you turn this around and you disagree with shame. You don't want to agree with shame, right? Then the next thing she says here is, we may feel ashamed for certain feelings or thoughts. Well, this is emotional suppression 101, right? This really is like, oh, I should not be feeling sad. I should not be feeling angry. I should not be feeling fear, any of that, right? Or even like coming back to, if you're ashamed of your success, you might be saying, oh, I shouldn't be feeling happy. I shouldn't celebrate. I shouldn't have joy, right? So if you are denying your emotions, if you're not letting them come out, you know already what's going to happen, right? Because if you've been listening to this podcast, then you know. Because these unexpressed emotions will start coming out physically, right? Just like your anger that you never expressed because you're ashamed of it may start coming out as back pain. Or the sadness that you often experienced but didn't want to show may start coming out as constant headaches all the time. Or another emotion that you're suppressing might come out as digestive problems for you. These emotions that you don't express will come out physically. So don't be ashamed of your emotions. This doesn't mean that you're going to blow up and like yell at people randomly, but it means that you process them and that you work with them, that you acknowledge them, you say out loud what they are, and then you are with them. So this is how you take the power away from these strong emotions, and also you're not letting the shame tell you that there's anything wrong. She also says, we may feel ashamed when we have fun, feel good, or we are vulnerable enough to show ourselves to others, right? So the same thing that I basically already covered. So don't be ashamed of you feeling good, right? Or having fun. Why are you ashamed of that? Actually, there's this really silly saying in Estonian, which is my first language, and So the saying goes something like that, and they say this a lot to children, which I think is so messed up. Like, you should never say this. So let's say a kid is like really happy and dancing around, bouncing around, like having a really good time, and then they say something like, it's hard to like translate it exactly, but it goes something like, if you have too much joy or if you're like too happy, you're gonna cry soon, right? It came out like super clumsy, right? It's actually a lot better, but you get the point, right? And this is just the stupidest thing to ever say to a child. Like, I think we should encourage children to have all the joy they want to have. If they want to stare at themselves in a mirror and admire themselves, that's so beautiful. Let them be, right? If they want to daydream and do like stuff like that, just live in the fantasy world, like let them be, right? Why not? Because I think life has a lot of things that we have to deal with anyway. So telling somebody to stop your joy, don't feel happy or you're gonna cry soon, this is just like a terrible bullshit advice that I would never want to say to any kid. And then she finishes this chapter by saying, or this paragraph by saying, some of us feel ashamed for just being, right? This is, I think, the root of it. Like, you just don't feel like it's right to be who you are, right? And you can sometimes see this in people's body language as well. So somebody who has a lot of shame typically doesn't want to look other people in their eyes. So definitely something that I had until, I would say, probably late 20s, early 30s. I really struggled with that. Couldn't look people in their eyes. It just felt like wrong. I felt like I had to hide. I had to look down. That just meant like I'm not like valuable enough for like to look you in the eye, right? So something like scary, or I had to hide. So other thing would be if somebody has like really forward rolled shoulders and kind of like hunched over. So if you walk like that, you're basically making yourself invisible. You don't want to be seen, right? The other thing, if you talk to people and you like often like cover your eyes, cover your face, this could be one of the things. And overall, just the feeling like I want to shrink, I want to be hiding, I want to go hiding. So these are like how it can come out like in your body language. So pay attention to that too. Do you do any of this stuff? First, like when I first noticed, actually that was long time ago, and of course back then I didn't have any realization of like what emotional work is, what shame is, any of that. But I remember like years ago looking back at my high school graduation video, right? And as I was walking up to the stage to get my I guess diploma is called, I was really hunched over, and I remember seeing this. I was like, wow, is that me? And of course, I was like, yeah, I'm tall. I was probably just kind of trying to hide that. But even if you're tall, you can stand up proud. You can stand up proud and be like the proudest person on earth. So what if you are tall, right? It's not like a flaw or anything bad about you. But when I'm looking back, I know that already then I definitely had a lot of problems with shame. I wasn't comfortable with who I am. I had a lot of like things, some stuff from like teenage years that had just made me feel like I'm not good enough. And then it was reflected in my body language, right? Like slouched position, like shoulders forward, not looking people in their eyes, super shy, looking down to my hands. So that kind of stuff is definitely giving you cues about shame. Okay, then this is really good part from this book that I'm reading to you right now. It says, shame is a spell others put on us to control us, to keep us playing our part in dysfunctional systems. It is a spell many of us have learned to put on ourselves. So, basically, what this means is that shame isn't an emotion that comes with you when you were born. Like anger does, and fear does, and joy and happiness, they do. But shame isn't one of them. Shame is learned, right? So she says somebody puts it on you. Yeah, that's true. And it can start out with something like innocent, right? Like you can say to a child, right? Like, why did you do this? Or why did you drop this thing on the floor? And look, I have to clean up all this mess. And you may have felt like shamed, right? So, okay, this is a pretty innocent example, but for a child, it can have a big impact. And now if you get more and more and more and more, and these things get like more serious, right? Let's say like somebody drops a comment about your body weight or something, and then you really internalize it, you start feeling bad about yourself, and then you take it in and you start doing this to yourself. So this is basically my eating disorder story, right? So got a comment from somebody, oh, you gained a lot of weight, what happened to you? And then I started telling the same story to myself. And like whatever the example is, it started with somebody else, but you may have taken it on. And now you're the one doing this to yourself. So be really mindful of that. Just catch these moments of shame and then start turning them around. Okay, so a couple of more things I want to read from this book. She says, learning to reject shame can change the quality of your life. It's okay to be who we are. We are good enough. Our feelings are okay. Yes, they are. Our past is okay. It's okay to have problems, make mistakes, and struggle to find our path. Yeah, like mistakes are so normal. Like, why do we say that are we supposed to be perfect? Like, show me a perfect person. I mean, we are perfect in a sense that the way we are, it is already perfect, right? But we don't have to like, change a million things about ourselves or like think how we can like make certain things go away, or like we have to be better, we have to measure up. Like there's so many stresses and pressures on us. We could just let that go and be okay that okay, I'm okay the way I am. I'm working on finding my path. It's okay to be human, and I accept myself the way I am. This is all rejecting shame. So just telling the inner critic to just shut up, basically. And she says, yes, accepting ourselves is the first step toward recovery. Letting go of shame about who we are is the next important step. So first thing, accept yourself, and second step, letting go of shame. This is important too. Okay, so this is really great. I like this book a lot. I hope that this episode today spoke to you, and I really want you to start paying attention to where shame is sneaking into your daily thoughts, your daily things you say, how you perceive yourself. Let's say, like a simple example, very common for women, especially, they stand in front of the mirror and they find like 7,000 things that are wrong with their bodies. This is wrong, that is wrong, this should be better. Oh my God, this person is a lot better. You can go down this rabbit hole endlessly, right? But once you stop that, right, you can be like, you can of course want to change certain things. Like if you feel like, yeah, I would like to have more muscle tone. I would like to feel stronger. I would like to be able to pick up my groceries. Like, yes, these are things like you can absolutely work on improving some areas in your life. And that's why I have strength training programs. I want you to be strong. But I don't want you to be like so hard on yourself. So when I'm doing fat loss coaching too, like there's some people are just so hard on themselves and they want everything by yesterday, right? Like I have to lose 20 pounds by yesterday. Okay, yesterday, yeah, but let's say like in 2 weeks, right? Because I have this vacation coming up. Well, it doesn't work this way. You clearly have no self-acceptance regarding like where you are right now. So if you start your weight loss journey from this really shameful place, it's not going to go well because you're going to be in this panic mode constantly. So really try to be more accepting towards yourself. Pay attention to where this shame is coming into your thoughts or into your words. How do you speak about yourself, right? When you say things like I'm this and that, pay attention to all this. You have to become like really like a like crystal, like you have to have this like develop this ear for these things. Oh, did I say this again? Did I think this again? Not obsessively, but little by little. You should be starting to like paying attention to this stuff and then changing your thought patterns, changing your inner thought. This is how you can get better. And I promise to you, like if you have these chronic symptoms in the body, or if you're very sensitive, you're always overthinking, you're over worrying, there's a big component of shame that is making you do these behaviors like questioning myself and perfectionism and the aches and pains too. Shame is a big thing there. So pay attention to it. Stand up for yourself, right? Say, hey, no more. I'm not going to listen to you. You can also take the advice that I gave you in the last episode, which was stop now, right? Stop that and then start another thought that is better. So you can definitely use that as well. So I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. If you're interested in strength training, I have these 2 strength programs. Train to Build Starter, which is meant for beginners. So if you are a highly sensitive person or if you have TMS, chronic pains and symptoms, you can definitely sign up for the starter program. You can do this. You absolutely can. If you are intermediate level, then I have the program called Train to Build. This is the original intermediate program. So you can sign up for that. Links for both are in the show notes. So make sure that you check those out, read what's included in the program, make a decision and sign up if it is a good fit for you. If you have any questions about the programs or anything else, then please let me know. I'm always open for feedback. All right, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you again soon. Take care.